Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today, we are going to speak about European residency options. While we're opening presentation, please write in the chat if you can hear and see as well. If you have any questions, you can also share what you're expecting from this meeting. Okay. So, today we will be speaking about European residency options. My name is Ksenia Grishenka. I am co-founder and operating officer in Soland. And in Batonina, my colleague, vice president, we will share some overview about some European programs. And actually today we decided not to speak about only one program and go deep into it. And we also decided not to discuss the whole range of different products which we have in Europe. We chose 3 different programs which might have something different, and we'll see how you may choose in practice the one which will suit you best. So let's go quickly about we actually operate in 3 different pillars. This is citizenship and residency programs. We cover the whole official programs among the globe: citizenship by investment, residency by investment and by non-investment routes, which we are going to mainly covering today. We also do real estate advising. We work with real estate investment and real estate for final users in Middle East region, in Europe, in Asian region. And we also do corporate services like opening companies, opening accounts, doing some business structures, and so on. Our head office is in Dubai. We're also present in Turkey, in Russia, and in Montenegro. These are our partners, mainly from Middle East. And as we are going to cover today immigration questions, these are actually main topics that our clients are interested in. Some of our clients might be interested in real relocation, current or maybe future. Some of the clients might think of some retirement plan or maybe some plan B solution, because happening in the world, I think starting from pandemic, the world is not stable, and those strategies that we used to think would work for a long time might not work today. And we see that some global political stories are shifting, and we really don't know in which world our kids are going to live, what will happen in 10 and 15 years. So plan B might be an important part of today's family planning. Global mobility is also very important. We see that the freedom of movement might be limited by regulations, might be limited by some, again, politics situation, might be limited by pandemic, some other things. Also, asset structuring, asset securities might be important, because again, some unpredictable things might affect the business, might affect the many things that investors need to think about. And immigration status is actually part of the global strategy that needs to be discovered. Even we used to speak previously that we cannot choose the passport we were born, we cannot choose the rights we were born with, which countries we can visit or cannot visit visa-free, where our children can go to university, where we can open bank accounts and so on. But actually, that's not only about having weak or strong passport. That's also about having another alternative, having another benefits which you can obtain legally and benefit from what other countries may offer you. Access to some new business markets, access to financial institutions in some other areas, which you, let's say, might be limited to now. And again, about planning for our children education, our children life, their career opportunities, and retirement plan, also very important today. So all those things are connected. And we try to understand the needs and goals of our clients and try to see them from different ways. That's why we actually do offer many different solutions besides that just investment routes, which are mainly being promoted in the market by the agencies. We try to see what routes might be better for entrepreneurs, what rules might be better for remote workers or for people with passive income and so on. So that's why we will be able to compare different ways today, and we'll see real examples. We'll see real consequences, because it's very easy to tell you, okay, go and, I don't know, make some kind of residency, I don't know, pay lawyers and you'll be done. But whether you're gonna have taxes, which obligations you're gonna have, how you're gonna renew your status, or you just, obtain it, maybe use it, maybe not use it, and then lose. So this is different, right? So we try to think strategically, and we try to give you big advice, which will cover all sides. These actually programs that we are covering, I think most of them are mentioned here, but as I mentioned today, we're going to focus on European program, because actually, let's speak about Europe in general. European residency. This is the legal right for somebody to, let's say, to permanently move to Europe, or also to have an access to all countries which are inside of European Union and or Schengen zone. In addition to that, to just right to live and sometimes work, you also have access to financial infrastructure, to opportunity to open bank accounts, to have specific social rights as well, of course, which might be a bit less than for citizens, but still more than just for tourists. And as this is a union of 27 countries, we understand that residency in one of it also give you access to others. Not only access like entrance, like global mobility, it's also access to same banks, trusts, accounts, and opportunities for your business. I think those who felt the limits, the limitations that you might meet within European regulations, know better about benefits of European residency. But for others, it might be not an issue today. They might just think of social securities and perfect retirement life somewhere in Spain or in other countries. So let's see what we're gonna discuss and else we can mention. Besides what I mentioned already, is also residence in Europe is also an opportunity to upgrade it further to permanent residency and later to naturalize to get European passport. Passport, of course, is stronger status than just residency because it gives you global impact, global presence. You use it for international travel, you use it for, I don't know, you can register assets, your company is using your second passport, and there is no actually straightforward way to get European passport legally. I don't speak about those, fake repatriation stories or something. Legally, in Europe, you can get citizenship only by naturalization, or there is some like special merit citizenship program in Malta, but no other ways. So for many people who are thinking today about residency in Europe, might be a final idea, final goal to get European passports, maybe for their kids, if they maybe go study there, then start to work in Europe. And let's say after 5 or more years, depending on the country, they can naturalize and get passports. As I mentioned, access to banking system, access to all financial institutions that we have in Europe, right, to be resident there. Otherwise, it might be super hard to pass European compliance. Of course, opportunity to travel, healthcare, tax structuring, which is actually might be both a benefit and a disadvantage, because taxes might be high, especially for those who got used maybe to UAE tax system, which is super friendly, especially for individuals. In Europe, it's a little bit more complicated, but still there are programs that offer special tax regimes, and that is important to consider. European education for your kids, retirement plan, social securities, all of this might be a goal or part of plan for our clients. Let's again speak a little bit about definitions. We have residency, residence permit, we have permanent residency. And we also, you might hear about golden visa programs. What's the difference? So residency is actually a permit for you to live in the country. And every time you move somewhere, maybe because you start to study or you get a job offer or by some other reasons, you'll get residency. Like I think people who live in UAE or in other GCC countries, all of us, we have ID cards. So this is a residency which was given on some basement. And this residency is always temporary. It has a time frame for which we can use it, and then we need to renew. And normally we renew residency by proving we still have the basement. So let's say if I got my employment residency, I need to prove I'm still employed, right? And then I can renew it after 1 year, after 2 years, depending on the company rule or on the country regulations. Permanent residency is the same residency, but it's permanent. It means you don't have to prove you still have the basement. It's much, it gives you much more rights. It's still not citizenship rights, but it's much more stable because you just need to, update your photo in order to renew the physical cards, but you don't have to prove again you fulfill the requirements of having it. And golden visa is just the name, either for residency, temporary residency, or for permanent residency, which is commonly given on investment basement. Let's say for real estate investment, such program exists in Greece, in Portugal, in Hungary, used to be in Spain, or for permanent residency, which Malta has, which we're going to speak about today. So these are the definitions, and also important that temporary residency in most of the European countries might be upgraded to permanent residency when you fulfill some of the requirements. Most commonly, these are the requirements about presence, physical presence, let's say in consistent, let's say 5 years, most common time period, when you have to stay in the country for more than half a year. Sometimes for some types of residency, it might be easier, but I'm speaking about most common way. And also permanent residency can be later upgraded to citizenship, which I was mentioning before. It's called naturalization. And to upgrade to citizenship, it's also required to prove the presence. And also most common cases, you need to pass language exam and to prove some integration into society. So these are about definitions. Hope it was not boring. And to finish this entrance part, also I will mention most typical ways of obtaining residency. As I mentioned, it might be employment or studying. Like everybody who goes and got student visa, so-called, it's actually residency based on your education, based on the documents that your university provided to you. Also, it might be financial independence, or sometimes it's called passive income basement. Not all countries provide this because this might be very friendly route for many wealthy people when you can just prove you have enough money to live in the country. But some European countries do have that. And for this type of residence, you need to show you have some passive income like rental income or dividends income or broker accounts income, and you have some savings on your bank account, meaning you will not survive in the country, you will not crave for some social help and so on. And based on that, the country will be happy to give you residency, to welcome you to live in this country, to spend money, to pay taxes and so on. Digital nomad route, also very popular because many people have this basement and can prove it, that is based on remote work. That means you have an employee or you're a freelancer and you have some contracts and you are not connected to some specific place. You can work from anywhere. And some countries in Europe, they can offer you this opportunity. They will give you residency and they will welcome you to live in their country because you can support yourself by having those contracts or remote work. Investment route, which is clear and straightforward. You are just investing in the country on one of the existing ways which regulations offer you. Might be real estate, might be venture or investment funds, might be bonds, or whatever. This is what we previously discussed called Golden Visa. And Startup Way also recent years became quite popular in European countries because they were eager to support entrepreneurs and development of some startups, welcoming them to their economy, to contribute to the economy. And there was a boom of some incubators and business accelerators trying to attract entrepreneurs to their country and by granting residency for them. Of course, there are requirements and all the basement is connected to the project. And this category we're going to also discuss today. So let's move forward. I briefly described what we have. This is the map which is describing the main locations we are working with in Europe for a non-investment type of residency, not Golden Visa, but those digital nomad, financial independence, and entrepreneurs routes. And I briefly described this difference, so also will not spend more time on that. I see the question, and yes, we will share the presentation after the webinar. And let's maybe start speaking about Spain, France, and Malta, and in the end, we'll do comparison of those three programs, and we'll give you our recommendations, which works better for whom, and which other factors and consequences it is very important to consider before you make a decision. And I want Inna to join our conversation, and let's speak in more details about the programs.
Thank you very much, Ksenia. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So let's move on and talk more detailed about the programs we want to cover today with Ksenia. We will start with one of the most popular options, residency in Spain through digital nomad option. This program is really popular right now, especially for remote workers, freelancers, self-employed professionals, and I'm sure many of you have already heard about it, yeah? So there have been some small updates recently, nothing major, but still important. And since the program remains very relevant to you today, we wanted to explain it in more detail so you can understand whether it actually fits your situation, yeah? So how does it work? Spain Digital Nomad, one of the main, it's very attractive because you can receive initially residence permit for 3 years. And honestly, for non-investment program, this is quite long period. The core idea of this program is very simple. You need to prove that you have a stable remote income coming from outside of Spain. You can apply either as employee working for a foreign company or freelancer, self-employed person working with international clients. And as long as your income is coming from outside Spain, you can qualify. Another big advantage, let's move on in another slide. So another advantage and something clients really like is that the process is quite fast in practice. Yeah, because the application is submitted directly from Spain. So unlike many other programs where you first apply for D visa and only then for residency, here you skip that step completely. It's a direct application. So, but this is also means that you must already have a valid Schengen visa or other legal basis, right? So enter Spain and submit your application from there. About terms of timing, the application is usually reviewed very fast in around 21 days, which is actually very fast. After approval, you stay in Spain, provide your biometrics, and then receive your residency card. Also important, you can include, of course, your family members in one application, your spouse and children. About requirements, so this is key moment, yes, and we need to discuss how much you need to show for remote income. For single applicant, you need to show at least 2,850 euros per month. And this must be visible in your bank statement for the last 3 months, showing consistent income. For example, if you would like to include your spouse, the requirement increases to around 3,900 euros. And if you apply with your family, like of 3, for example, with your child, the income should be around 4,300 per month. So basically, the more family members in the application, the higher the required income. Now, a very common question we get from client is, what if my salary is slightly below the required threshold? There is some flexibility actually, but it has to make things logical. For example, let's say you earn 2,500 euros and you are missing around 300 euros, okay? In this case, we can support your application by showing also with your bank statement, like some commission, bonuses, or additional payments from the same employee. Yes, savings can also help, but only as a supporting element. What is not acceptable is when your main income very low. For example, you earn only like 1,000 euros and most of the required amount comes from savings. In that case, unfortunately, this program is not suitable for you because we need to show like your remote income and we can add, of course, some savings. So also, like this is very, yeah, let's quickly look at who this program is actually stable for. First, employees. If you work under a contract and receive salary from foreign company, this is ideal case. The second, freelancer or business owners. If you work with international clients and they can prove your income, this also works very well. For each client, we always prepare individual checklist of documents, depending on your situation, of course. And honestly, there are no perfect cases. Every case is different. And we always work individually to structure your file correctly. So if you're not sure whether you qualify, it's always better to discuss your case personally. So please leave your inquiry for consultation individual. We will be glad to advise you and have a call after our webinar. Also another common question, when can I get permanent residency or citizenship in Spain? Actually, when after 5 years of living in Spain, you can apply for permanent residency. After that, you need to live another 5 years, and then you can apply for citizenship. So in total, it's about 10 years. Like in most European countries, you will also need to pass language exam, but usually after living in this country for several years, this is not like a big issue for most people. But yeah, you need to understand that language exam, it will be once you apply your application for citizenship after 10 years. About renewal, also very important question, because once you receive your residency for 3 years, then you extend your status. The Spain for digital nomad, in the beginning, you will receive long-term visa for 3 years, then you extend it in another 2 years. And after that, you already become eligible for permanent residency. So you need just only once you extend your status, and after 5 years, you can apply for permanent residency. But you need to live in Spain minimum 6 months per year. So if you, for example, if you would like, of course, to apply for citizenship with permanent residency, you need to live another 5 years, and then you will be eligible. So for clients who are not planning to relocate at all, this program should be approachable like careful, yeah, because we need to discuss about your extension, how we can do it, about tax, about your remote income. We need to prepare again your documents to extension your status. So, and yeah, we need to plan and we need to see what's the main goal. And finally, about taxes, for non-residents, the tax rate is around 24%, and this is something you should definitely consider in advance. We actually had a separate webinar with our tax advisor where we explained everything in details, tax regime, back home law, optimization. So if you're interested, I really recommend watching this video. It's recording on our YouTube channel. Please go to Soland World and you can find, yes, this is very interesting webinar about taxation in Spain. And of course, if you still have questions or want to discuss your case individually, feel free to book a consultation with us. This is about France, about Spain. So the step-by-step process is very clear. It takes like just 2-3 months. But yeah, just remember you need to have some permit or Schengen visa to enter to Spain and apply your documents for digital nomad visa. Required documents, usually we provide individual checklist of documents to our all clients because it's case by case and we need to see in the beginning your situation, your documents. We will do preliminary check. We discussed all documents in the beginning. So the rest documents, it's like just civil, like passport, CV, health insurance, of course, some application form. We will support you in any each step. So let's move on about France. Next program. Now we will talk about residency in France also, which is also one of the most popular non-investment residency options in Europe. So today we collect 3 like most popular programs.
Yeah. So, sorry, Ina, I will interrupt you. I disconnected by accident. I wanted, before we start France, I saw some questions about Spain, and I saw the question about whether you have to transfer your salary to Spanish bank account. This is not required. You can keep receiving your salary on the account which was outside of Spain, which you used as a basement of your digital nomad residency. But what is important that if you're gonna live in Spain, then you're gonna become a tax resident in Spain. If you're gonna spend more than 183 days or you move your center of life interest, then of course your income, your salary will be taxable in Spain, and as well as your global income. This is an important thing which you also need to consider in advance. And as Ina already mentioned, there is a special tax regime in Spain which can help you in some cases release your global income out of Spanish taxation, which is called Beckham law. And we have separate webinar about this. Please text who is interested in that. We'll send you the link. You can text in the chat or in question and answers. You can text privately there. We will see the chat log after the webinar and we'll contact with you and send you all the details. If you're interested in Spain, these are things which need to be considered in advance. If you're not going to move to Spain and you'll not spend enough time there so that you're not becoming tax resident, there is tricky part that it might be harder for you to renew your residency after 3 years. So these are things which need to be considered carefully when you're planning Spain. Very much depends on your initial goal, whether you're choosing that because that's the fastest and the cheapest and let's say the easiest way on the first glance to get European residency. But this is not so easy. It's not touristic visa or whatever. This is still residency program, which has its own requirements, which has consequences, which needs to be considered. That's it. We're not saying that this is super bad, super hard, you'll pay, at the maximum tax rate. No, everything can be arranged, but this is something which needs to be into your plan and consideration, among your consideration questions when you're making decision and comparing which options you have on the table. Okay, please text in English. We do not understand Arabic or other languages. Okay, let's now move towards France.
So yeah, our next program. Now we will talk about residency in France, which is also one of the most popular non-investment residence permit option in Europe. This program was launched by President of France in 2017. So yes, it's relatively new, but it has already proven itself very well. So it's a stable program. It has a strong approval rate. And one of the key advantages is that you can receive your residence permit for up to 4 years from the beginning. So compared to Spain, the timeline is a bit longer, but the process is quite structured and actually very clear. We will go through step-by-step process a bit later, but in general, the application is divided into two main stages. So let's say we start your process today. In around just 2 months, you can already receive your D visa. So this visa allows you to relocate to France, right away to travel freely within Schengen areas, and most important, to enter France and apply for your residency. So it means if you need quick and urgent access to EU while waiting for your final residence card in France, you will receive visa D within about 2 months. And with this visa, you can already enter France and travel within the Schengen area. The big advantage is that the visa D is issued in your country of citizenship or residency. So for this process, unlike Spain, you don't need to have a valid Schengen visa beforehand. So this is also good, big benefit for some clients who has some, problem with Schengen visa, some rejection, etc., etc. So also about benefits of this program and something that makes it very different is that you are not required to live in France for 6 months per year in order to maintain your residency. And this is exactly why this program is very attractive for clients who, first of all, not planning to relocate, immediately want a legal status in Europe without large investment, and looking for kind of plan B. So, and of course, for clients who want to maintain their resident status in the coming years without the need to reside in the country. So this can be useful for visa-free travel, banking, of course, as Ksenia already mentioned, education opportunity for children, long-term planning. So all benefits what we discussed before.
Yeah, and I also would like to add here that as France is a business route or startup route, this is a very good choice for entrepreneurs and for businessmen who might need some business presence inside of European Union in this infrastructure, because this program might include your business setup inside of EU, the whole coverage, and your immigration status will be connected to your business. For those who already maybe having companies in some other European countries, it might be a solution to shift it to France and to be inside of this infrastructure, which can later fulfill your immigration requirements and will help you to keep the status rolling, renew it, and if you decide to relocate or your kids decide to relocate, you will be able to naturalize in France, which offers the fastest track to passports. France is not the fastest among the whole European Union, but the time, 5 years, is among the fastest. Only a couple of countries offer that fast option or route to passport.
Yeah, so as Ksenia mentioned, you can apply for citizenship after 5 years. So it's like a short way and direct way to apply for citizenship and get it. Again, you need to have some knowledge about language, French language, but it's usually not a big problem for our clients. Now let's talk about the structure of this program. The program is called Passport Talent, and officially it includes 11 different categories. But to simplify things, we usually divided them into 4 main groups. First of all, we are mostly work and most popular categories, and ones we work with most often, it's business creation and startup. So let me find, this is a slide. You can see 11 categories, different categories under this program. Main group, startup and business creation. And we have 3 others, like for highly qualified employees, exceptional talent, of course, and investment categories. So today we will focus on the 2 main and most practical options, startup and business registration. Let me also explain how it works. So the first option is company registration. In simple terms, we help you open a company in France, prepare a business project, and this option required to put a deposit 30,000 euros as a share capital. So now, important point here. This is actually your own money. It's not a payment or fees. Once you receive your residence permit, you're free to use these funds for your business or for your personal proposal. Option number 2 is startup. Here you don't need to open a company at the beginning. Instead, we prepare innovative business idea and submit it to the French authorities for approval. The project is developed together with our specialist and then submitted to the Minister of Economy. Once approved, we continue with the migration process. So the key point with this category is the innovative aspect. This option is usually chosen by clients who already have some startup experience, either in their home country or internationally, and are looking to expand or develop their ideas in Europe. France is actually very supportive when it comes to innovation and new business concepts, which makes this option quite attractive. At the same time, it's also good fit for clients who want to obtain a residence permit but not ready to register a company from the beginning, right? Or invest into share capital. Unlike the first option, the startup route doesn't require a capital deposit, which makes it more flexible. So, and finally, also this category can also work for clients who simply wants to obtain residency and meet the basic criteria. But for under startup option, very important that you have high education background and some entrepreneurial or professional experience. That's why we always ask to the client provide CV and passport copy. We will do preliminary check and we will advise which option like most suitable for you.
Yeah, and I see the question about the rejection rate for France category. And we can say that actually for the whole program in general inside of France, the rejection rate isn't small. But within our practice, it is small because we are not accepting everybody who wants to do France. We don't want to, have upset and disappointed clients, and we don't want to apply without result. So we do preliminary check and QIC, and we are checking the CV and experience, and of course educational background. Because if there is a master degree requirement, and let's say person doesn't have it, then we understand that risks for rejection are increasing. And maybe for that type of client, we better offer some other solutions in France or in another countries, depending on their goals and needs, because there's not the only category to get residence in France, of course, although one of the most attractive because of the time frame and other benefits. Same about experience. We understand that if it's a student who recently graduated, the chances are lower than for an entrepreneur who has some proven success in his business and in other countries. So this is very much dependent on the profile. In our practice, rejection rate is really low, and we don't have rejection on a business setup plans. I think we never had, because we do understand the requirements France Ministry of Economy and Finance and business incubators have for the program, and we are able to adjust your own idea and your own type of business you're planning to do to meet the requirements that are set in France. We understand how they want to see, how it should be formed in order to get approval for you. And although in general in France, the rejection rate on this stage, I think more than 30%. So you need to understand that this is actually not an easy program. But the good thing that most of the work is done by us and lawyers. So for you, it's important to open the whole information at the beginning, and for us to speak openly to understand that you can really qualify. And we have amazing approval rates. For different nationalities. And it's important that this program doesn't have any restriction on nationalities, also important, despite like Greece or some other countries which might not accept some, sanctioned or restricted nationalities. In France, they look into your profile. So this is important. And case by case, we speak with each client to make sure he can be approved. We discuss from where we're going to apply to visa and how we're going to react, because the process might also vary. Like some consulates have different requirements on the visa D stage, but we will guide you over it. We have a real global experience on that, and we have really good successful rates for clients who even didn't have Schengen visas before, which is actually is not a good recommendation, because better show some travel history. But still, for even such clients, we have recently they collected 4 years cards, clients from Pakistan, I think, or might be mistaken, and they're really happy to start their new journey in Europe with friends' residency. So I see if we need visa D, if we're holding Schengen visa. For this program, we do need special visa D, because Schengen tourist visa is a C category, and visa D is like pre-residency category, which is required stage for that type of residency and some others as well. So yeah, we will anyway need to apply, and we'll guide you over this. That's not a hard process. When we apply for visa D, we are not just showing, like when we apply for tourist visa, we show our tourist plan, accommodation booking, tickets, and so on. For visa D, we need to show we have basement for our future residency. So for visa D, we already show approval for our business project. So, or business plan or for business setup. So it is a bit different process, and we'll need to apply separately. And another question, I don't know if he's going to speak about it later. If you set up a company, do you need to prove minimum income each year that you operate? You don't have to prove income. There is no commitment on profit for this program, despite a similar program in the UK when they do have profit revenue commitment. Here you need to, you better be successful, of course, but they don't look at this when they decide to renew your residency. You just need to show that you do work on your startup and you do have your company. Let's say if you get your residency based on startup, so you did not open company in the beginning, you just get your approval based on business plan. And after 4 years, when you want to renew, we realize you never opened the company and you never did a single action towards developing your startup. That means that you did not plan initially to develop this. You will not get renewal. This is also clear, right? But if you had a company, let's say you were preparing for your startup, you were, working with incubator or something else, then you opened the company, you did some cash flow, some operations, maybe successful, maybe not, but you're developing this, then it's a completely different story. But answering directly your question, there is no minimum income requirement you need to show. And about work permit, for main applicants in this category, you do not have work permit. You cannot work for another company. You can only work for your own business. But your spouse can work.
Yes. Your spouse has the right to work in France. So we already described a little bit the process, and if you want to get more details, please text us. We will share materials about all process, all checklist of documents, everything. So let's discuss a bit more about documents. The list is actually quite simple, which is always good news. From your side, we need just passport, police clearance, birth, marriage certificate, photo and CV, and also bank statement showing at least 21,000 euros. So this is just to confirm that you have enough funds to support yourself in France, and that's it. The list is quite small. So overall, this program is very popular. We have strong approval statistic actually, and especially in 2025, we submitted a large number of applications. Now we more strictly see the CV and the background of clients, But yeah, we do always, as Ksenia mentioned already, preliminary check. It's very important for us, first of all, and for you, and we will guide you which option like most suitable and has more chance for approval.
I see another question from Irfan. Can we move to another country after obtaining the visa for business and PR? Actually, your visa D is connected to the residency you're gonna receive, and it's not. It gives you access to other countries of Schengen area. You can enter using it countries, but you cannot use it for applying for another type of residency, even in France, or not saying about other European countries. The visa is normally given for 3 months only, so it's not long-term visa. It might be given for 1 year in some cases, in some countries, based on experience, based on our experience. But in most of the cases, 95% of the cases, it will be given for 3 months. And it's done for you to enter France using this visa, to validate it, and to do biometry to obtain your plastic cards for the type of residency you were approved for. So yes, you can, let's say, travel using this until it's valid and you didn't get your plastic cards yet. It can even be suitable for some of the banks if they require you to prove your residence in Europe for some of the cases. But it doesn't mean you can move to another country, if I got your question right. Okay, let's move forward.
So Malta. Now let's move to very interesting and honestly one of the strongest program in Europe, Malta permanent residency. Malta, first of all, I want to highlight that this program is quite different from the previous two, because here you receive a permanent status from the beginning, not a residence permit, but permanent residency. It's a very strong option, especially because you are not required to relocate, change your lifestyle, or spend a certain number of days in Malta. At the same time, you still receive all the key benefits. You can travel visa-free within Schengen area, and you can include your family. And here, by the way, Malta has a big advantage because the family eligibility is quite wide. So you can include your spouse, your children up to 28 years old if they are financially dependent, as well as the parents and even grandparents without strict age limits, as long as they are financially dependent. So essentially, you can secure the status for your entire family in one application. Of course, the entry cost for this program is higher compared to Spain and France. But the key point here is that you pay once, fulfill the investment conditions, and after that, there are no ongoing obligations or maintenance costs to keep the status. Because if we compare a long-term cost, including taxes, renewal, maintaining other types of residence permit over time, the total cost can actually become similar what you initially invest in Malta. So yes, the entry cost is higher, but the value and the stability of the status are also much stronger. So now let's briefly look at the structure of this program. Malta is based on combination requirements. Yeah. Now we discussed how we can get a residency in France, how we can get a Spain digital nomad visa. Now we will discuss how we can obtain Malta permanent residency, and it's combination of requirements. First of all, you need to choose between rental property or purchasing a property. If you rent, the minimum, if you rent, the minimum is around 14,000 euros per year, and you need to maintain the lease for 5 years. If you buy, the minimum property value is around 375,000 euros, and you also need to hold it for 5 years at least. And during this time, you are allowed to rent it out the property, which is additional advantage. So if you, for example, don't want to buy property, don't buy it. a lot of clients are choosing such a scheme, like they would rent a property first, receive their permanent residency card, and then in case they feel like that investment in the property is a good idea, and it's a good idea in Malta because Malta is a small island and the land is really limited. So therefore, the properties in Malta are growing in price and creating more and more liquidity with time. Plus, you're making a rental income. So many of clients are opting to just receive the permanent residency card, arrive to the island, look around, choose the properties they like more, and purchase the property, rent it out, and they enjoy the rental income. So this is like how usually the client choose and doing for permanent residency. Let's talk about cost of the application. As I mentioned, it's combination with real estate and the contribution. Of course, you know that Malta is a country which is still like developing. Therefore, the government of Malta wants you to contribute to the Maltese economy. At the same time of your application, you need to pay under this program 60,000 euros, like administration and government fees. Also, you need to pay 37,000 euros of the government contribution and 2,000 euros to the Maltese non-governmental organization. And that's particularly it's in the application fees. So the total cost of donation, like non-refundable amount, is 97,000 euros. So you need to just understand the structure. You need to choose real estate. Yeah, we rent a property for 5 years at least, or purchasing a property, and we contribute minimum 97,000 euros. So also very important, Malta has added some financial requirements. I will move on about program requirements. And yeah, let's stop on this slide because it's very important also those clients who read information about permanent and interesting of this program. It's very important step. It was like new rules from 2025. Let me explain this part is very like simply way because it's often confuses clients. The government wants to make sure that the applicant is financially stable. This is not like an investment. You are not paying this money. You just need to prove that you have it. So there is two options. First option, you show 500,000 euros in total assets, including at least 150k euros in liquid funds. And option number two, you show 650,000 euros in total assets, including at least 75,000 euros in liquid funds. What does assets mean? Assets include everything you own, like money in the bank, real estate, business ownership, investments, stocks, funds, etc., etc. And what liquid assets mean? These are funds you can access quickly, like cash in bank accounts, deposit, some liquid investments. Real estate is not considered by liquid, yes? So it's a combination, but you need to show. It's like very simple to show bank statement or bank letters, some brokerage account, property ownership documents, company documents. So of course it's case by case, and we would like to see your documents and discuss this matter in the beginning, and we will help you how like be more like good way to show these documents. You don't need to invest again this amount. You just need to show that you already have assets of this level. Yeah, because a lot of clients confused on this stage. No need to think that you need to invest this money. You just need to show in your assets. It's not only like about money, about amount. Also, you need to show your source of funds. It's very important. And we discuss separately with our clients because Malta has very strict due diligence check, and we need to be prepared on this stage as well. That's why in the beginning Soland do KYC preliminary check, and we start the process with with preliminary check. So this is like described how the process looks like. The first and mandatory step of the Malta permanent residency process is preliminary due diligence. As we discussed already, like the main goal in this stage is to identify your potential risk in advance and avoid rejection later in the process. Also news from 2025, the Malta include a new step of the process. It's a temporary residence permit, TRP. At the second stage, the investor and family members can obtain for a temporary residence permit valid for 1 year. This is new step. We see this new update like as a strong advantage. Yes, the full process of obtaining permanent residency takes around 6-7 months. But already at the beginning, within about 1 month, you can receive a temporary residence permit. This allows you to enter Malta and travel within the Schengen area. So the first stage, we apply for a temporary permit for you and for your family. And for many clients, this is very convenient step because while your permanent residency is being processed, you already have access to Europe. Yeah, after receiving your temporary, the applicant must submit the permanent residency application within 6 months, and then we're collecting all documents. We submit your application to the Residency Malta agency. Malta agency do due diligence check of the application, and then we have a decision, approval. Once the applicant receives approval, they must complete all requirement investment conditions. So again, you don't need to put all amount, all contribution in the beginning. So only after approval, yes, some government fees, like 15,000 euros you need to pay in the first stage, and advisory fees and some small additional fees. But the main part of contribution you need just pay only after approval. This is very good point. And you don't need to put all money in the beginning before you don't know about decision.
Sorry, I just wanted to share. I was asked by one of our clients why we included Malta in this webinar and why we're not speaking about Greece or Portugal, which we're all also working with. And I shared that, yeah, we maybe do a different webinar about Portugal, Greece, Cyprus, and other golden visas, but we included Malta because we saw lots of rumors and lots of misunderstanding about this program. Some clients might consider Malta as something super elite, super expensive, super complicated, but we can see that, and we will see the comparison later, that Malta can, the complicated part goes to the lawyers, like same for France. The whole this bureaucracy part, papers, approvals, blah, blah, it's done by lawyers. By client, you need just to make a decision in the beginning and to realize we qualify and to make this comparison to find out how you're going to fulfill the requirements and review it, use it. But we can see that after 1 month or 2 months in France, you can have your residency for 3 years, for 4 years, for 5 years. Yeah, and you can have this flexibility of moving and solving your bank questions and so on. And Malta is actually not that hard and not that, unreachable for most of the clients. And we will see later, especially if we use the rental route, the cost-wise, it's very comparable to even non-investment routes. And when we think of one or another program, it's not that just the price of advisory fees, which we have to pay to lawyers and some, consulate fees. It's also like taxes that may arise, accommodation costs that may arise, and etc. We're going to see it later, but just wanted to add that actually I think Malta is not a program that is widely discussed, but it worth attention because this is really amazing program. And you need to consider this, and maybe you can make a choice towards this instead of some others. But for us, of course, the main goal is to guide you over all the options and support in your documents.
Yeah, I agree, Ksenia, with you. Malta is one of the easiest and most flexible ways today to secure a permanent residency status for life without relocation and without complex obligations. About step-by-step, we already discussed. We can share with you, of course, some documents and materials after this call. If you're interested in this program, we can do for you preliminary check. We can discuss your case. This is all about Malta, and I really recommend to consider this program. So let's move on. Yeah, Ksenia.
Yeah, so I already started to mention this a little bit, but yeah, it's important. Sorry, I will remove this. How to make it? I will make us a bit smaller for you to see the full comparison. How to do it? Okay, will be a bit smaller. Okay, so when we choose, let's say we're choosing between these three options, not to put another on the table. We, of course, those programs cost different in the beginning, or might be used in a different way, or somebody who is definitely moving to Spain, that's no other choice. We are, I mean, they're not comparing with France or Malta. But for some clients that might not be planning to relocate today, or just want to use it as plan B, or maybe for future relocation, or for kids, we need to consider not only the entrance price and the entrance requirements, which are, of course, important to consider, but we also need to know whether we plan to renew or not, because some of the clients say, okay, I'll use it 3 years, I'm not going to renew, I will do something after 3 years, let's see what's going to happen. Or we need to understand whether we're going to able to fulfill the requirements, which costs would arise while we're using the residency, whether there are any additional obligations that we might have. For example, where is this slide? Yeah, here. For example, in Malta, which is investment route, and investment route normally only require you to keep an asset. That means that you don't have to care about your minimum stay or minimum visit, whether tax would arise or not, whether you need to show some cash flow with your bank accounts, corporate or private or whatever. So this is completely, yeah, of course, it's the most expensive in the beginning, but that's the most passive while using it. So might be a solution, right? And you see that the initial cost might be comparable even to Spain, which is the cheapest one in the beginning, if we add on all accommodation and taxes which might arise if you move there. Same about France. These are the comparison tables that we normally do for our clients, but when we work with clients, we know much more details. What is the potential taxable basement, whether the plans of moving or not moving, and what is the minimum salary, let's say, for Spain digital nomad, which might be taxable, and which social security he might need to additionally pay in order to renew and to fulfill that, right? Whether he can apply for some tax exemptions or not, and same about other countries. But our approach is not just to compare whether you have enough documents to be approved, but also to understand how you're going to use it and which one is the definitely best choice for you. And I can say that coming back here, for those who don't want to bother themselves with anything which might be needed for renewal, who don't want any type of tax risks or any other obligations, of course, investment routes is the best. And Malta is one of the cost-efficient options within golden visas in Europe. For those who have business and do plan to develop business in Europe and might be thinking of having citizenship, naturalization in Europe, France is one of the best options among all European countries. Because as we mentioned, the time period until you can apply for passport is one of the fastest in Europe. Plus, the program is very attractive for entrepreneurs. It is very straightforward for entrepreneurs. It has very good statistics, and it gives you additionally business presence in Europe it gives you basement for passing all bank compliance. And of course, taxes might rise, especially if you move to France as well. But it can be optimized legally with your tax advisor, and many Europeans are used to that. You can use all the official and structuring tools, which may help you not to move to the highest tax rate, even for high net worth individuals. And Spain is the best solution for those who do plan to have digital nomad route in Europe, because this is one of the best working options right now among all European countries. This is very fast, very easy. You can apply from Europe, even if you went to your summer holidays and decided maybe I should stay there. You fell in love with Marbella or some other regions in Spain, and Spain is beautiful and very friendly to live in and to have, retirement there and to raise children there. All these countries have international schools and very attractive for even relocation. And for those who do not plan to relocate and just using it as a part of their strategy plan, might be a great solution. But again, repeating myself, mind all the consequences, choose smart, do not do something just because your friend did that or your colleague did that. There are some options to choose. There's no number one best option, which is, elite one or something. All of them are different. All of them have their pros and cons. Might be faster, might be longer, might be cheaper or more expensive in the beginning. But if we calculate all the costs, the balance might be different. That's actually all that we wanted to say today. If you have any questions, if we didn't cover something, please text us. We did not promote this webinar, so I guess all of you were invited by your managers. You can contact with them. If you want to speak directly with me or Inna, your manager can arrange Zoom call and we'll be glad to join. And we'll be happy to see you among our clients. Have a great day. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Ksenia. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good evening.